Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we'll be doing the Pinterest Decides What I Draw challenge. I have my tea ready, red tea with mint. It's not an aesthetic matcha, but it's my drink of choice. And so we'll go ahead and get started. So I started off with a portrait and I wrote portrait photography into Pinterest and chose the first option that I got. I then wrote fruit still life, and I think I didn't really like the first option, and the second option I already drew before, so I chose the third option. I wrote thing and then vehicle and animal, and yeah, I just chose the first options for all of these and I went ahead with the sketch. So I've already completed my sketch. As you can see, I did it with pencil colors, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be using watercolor and pencil color or gouache yet, but for now I'm going to do a watercolor wash, and I think that will kind of help warm me up and just help also with deciding what colors I want to use. So the car was yellow, so I'm going to put a yellow tint here. I'm gonna do the girl and the pomegranate in like an orange tint, and these two will be pink and green, and then the rest of the background will just be a blend of all these colors. Alright, so to make it as random as possible, I'm gonna wet some areas of the page, not all of them though. I'm just gonna have random spots that are wet so that the paint will flow in unpredictable ways. And I'm gonna go ahead and start with the car, and then pomegranates, finally I'm just gonna sprinkle some red and take a sip of my tea while this dries. Okay guys, I think I'm gonna risk doing it with gouache, even though I'm not very confident with that, but it's okay, it's gonna be fun, hopefully. I'm using the Artist Love Jelly Gouache, and it has its own palette as well, so that's convenient. And I'm not gonna follow the references very closely, just to give myself a little more freedom with the gouache. These colors for now, I'm gonna try mixing the skin with the orange, yellow, and white. I might add a bit of blue to it too. These are the colors I have. This one, lemon yellow, and white. And if I were to use the blue, I'll probably use the acid blue or the ultramarine. There's this artist on YouTube that has really well blended gouache portraits, and her technique is really nice and smooth. So I tried to apply her advice in this spread, and the advice was mainly to really water down the colors, especially in the base layer, and then wait for it to completely dry before going in with shadows. And then hopefully then once it's super dry, when you go in with the shadows, you can blend them out with a wet and clean brush a lot easier, and the colors won't get smudged or look messy. So yeah, I think this worked really nicely in this portrait. I definitely was using a lot thicker paint previously, and watering down the colors also helped with the colors meshing together better. And yeah. For the dark brown of the hair and the eyebrows, I mixed a small amount of the ponceau with burnt umber. Alright guys, I'm done with the character. I like how it turned out. I didn't go with too many colors or layers. I tried to keep it simple, and I tried to keep the gouache pretty watered down so that I can blend it out a lot better. And now I'm gonna start with the pomegranate. I'm gonna start with the fruit, so I'm gonna mix some of the orange that I already had, some of the pink, and I'm gonna start with this as a base layer, and then I'll mix in some yellows and purples for the shadow and light areas. For the shadows here, I added some purple to the mix. After adding the shadow, I'm gonna wait for it to dry so that when I add the highlights, they don't mix in with the shadow and get too muddy, because I'm gonna use yellow. So while I wait for it to dry, I'm gonna paint the leaves. I'll use green. Try mixing some yellow and orange into it so that the color complements the rest of the painting. And I'll paint the stem with a similar color as her hair. And I think that's the plan for now, so hopefully it turns out good. I'm starting with a stem. So I mixed some grass green and lemon yellow for the leaves. I haven't been looking at the reference photos, so the end result might end up looking very different, but I like how it looks so far. I think the trick might just be not to look at the reference photos so you're not disappointed by what ends up happening. Now that I have the first layer of the leaves down and the pomegranate has dried, I'm gonna go in with more detail on the pomegranate. I'm gonna make an outline, add some more detailed and fine shadows, and then add some highlights. Clean, wet brush. Alright, that did not work. I think the pomegranate fruit should be fine now. It's not amazing, but I think it looks okay. And I'm gonna add some shadows to the leaves, and then I'll be done with the plant part. So I'm gonna mix my green with some ultramarine blue and some of the brown I have left over. Alright, the plant is done. I'm gonna go ahead and start with the car. I'm gonna use lemon yellow and a little bit of grass green. For the shadows and midtones of the car, I added a bit more green to the green yellow mix, and then I incorporated some black. And for the tires and shadows below, I also used black and I watered it down. And in some cases, I added white to make it gray. And yeah, that was what I used for the metal parts as well. I'm finally done with the car. It was very hard, but we're gonna move on to the little deer and then the camera. Unfortunately, my phone died, so this is the only clip I have of me painting the deer, but I mainly just used the colors I already had in my palette, and I didn't really go overboard with like rendering it. The same goes for the camera. I used the pink I already had and I mixed it with white. And for the lens, I used the gray. And yeah, it was quite simple. For the keychain attached to the camera, I used my acrylic markers just because I got bored and I didn't want to do a lot of like detailed work with gouache. Alright guys, I'm done. This is the state of my palette. There's really no more space. I always overestimate how much I need of the white, so I'm gonna have to clean this up and put it back. But overall, I'm very happy with the result. I'm glad I chose to do it with gouache because it looks a lot cooler than it would have been with pencil colors and watercolors. I also like the idea of the watercolor wash that I did at the beginning. It definitely helped me like stop overthinking and just get started. It helped the colors look a lot more cohesive and just the painting in general looks fun. So yeah, I really enjoyed this challenge and I hope you guys also really enjoyed this video and found it inspiring, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!